Lewis Hamilton has mapped out a strategic plan to claim his 8th World Championship with his SF24. Stay until the end to discover the brilliant plan that has been leaked. We have the exclusive first look. Subscribe only if you want Hamilton to win his 8th World Championship and be crowned as the greatest driver in history. If someone had told you just a few years ago that Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, the architect of a modern Formula One empire, the driver who rewrote the record books and established himself as the undisputed icon of his generation, would one day walk through the legendary gates of Maranello as a Ferrari driver, you would have dismissed it outright. Not just dismissed it, you would have laughed, scoffed, shaken your head in utter disbelief. It would have seemed absurd, the kind of baseless rumor that circulates every silly season before being squashed by reality. Hamilton and Mercedes were an inseparable entity, a partnership that had defined an entire era of the sport. His name was intertwined with the silver arrows, etched into the very DNA of a team that had dominated Formula One with an iron grip for nearly a decade. Subscribe only if you want Hamilton to win his 8th World Championship and be crowned as the greatest driver in history. But the thing about Formula One, the thing that makes it so intoxicating, so utterly enthralling, is that it is a sport built on unpredictability. Nothing lasts forever, and the impossible has a way of becoming reality when you least expect it. And now, as the world watches with bated breath, the unthinkable has happened. Lewis Hamilton, the man who led Mercedes to 8 consecutive Constructors' Championships, the driver who forged a legacy alongside Toto Wolff and the Brackley-based juggernaut, is now dressed in Ferrari red. The magnitude of this moment is difficult to comprehend because it transcends mere driver transfers. It is a seismic shift in the very foundation of Formula One, a moment that will be spoken about for decades, analyzed in countless documentaries, and debated by fans and historians alike. This isn't just a major move, it's the move. The kind of event that shakes the sport to its core, that forces every team, every rival, every pundit to re-evaluate everything they thought they knew about the landscape of Formula One. And it isn't just about the spectacle of Hamilton leaving Mercedes, it's about where he's going. Because Ferrari isn't just another team. Ferrari is an institution, a living, breathing entity with a legacy that predates Formula One itself. It is the beating heart of the sport, a symbol of passion, heritage, and an unrelenting pursuit of greatness. To drive for Ferrari is to carry the weight of history on your shoulders, to step into the shoes of legends, to bear the expectations of an entire nation and a fan base that spans the globe. And now, Lewis Hamilton has chosen to embrace that challenge. He has walked into the lion's den, not as a rival, but as its newest champion in waiting. A new dawn in Maranello, the arrival of a titan. The first ignition of the SF25 inside Ferrari's headquarters was more than just a mechanical process. It was an event, a moment charged with significance, an initiation of a new era. The roar of the engine reverberated through the corridors of Maranello, sending shivers down the spines of those who witnessed it. Engineers stood frozen in anticipation, mechanics exchanged knowing glances, and team executives observed in near reverence. This wasn't just another car coming to life. It was a battle cry, a declaration that Ferrari is ready to reclaim its throne. The energy inside the factory was palpable, electric, almost surreal. The air was thick with a sense of history in the making. Those who had been with the team long enough understood the gravity of this moment. They had seen legends come and go, Schumacher, Raikkonen, Alonso, Vettel, but there was something different about this. This wasn't just the unveiling of a new machine. This was the convergence of two titanic forces, a fusion of Hamilton's brilliance and Ferrari's relentless ambition. Subscribe only if you want Hamilton to win his 8th World Championship and be crowned as the greatest driver in history. For the Tifosi, the most passionate, most devoted fanbase in motorsport, this is more than just a signing. It is a long-awaited dream finally materializing. Ferrari has always been the ultimate aspiration for drivers, the team that every racer secretly longs to be a part of at some point in their career. And now, with Hamilton at the helm, that dream has taken on an entirely new dimension. The Tifosi, who have endured years of heartbreak and near misses, now have reason to believe again. They now have a driver who has proven time and time again that he can achieve the impossible. Hamilton's legacy and the weight of expectation. For Hamilton, this move is not just about winning another championship, it's about legacy. He has already cemented himself as one of the greatest drivers the sport has ever seen, but Ferrari offers something different. It offers him the chance to do what only the very best have done, to win in multiple eras, with multiple teams, under different circumstances. It is the final challenge, the last great mountain to climb. But with great opportunity comes immense pressure. Ferrari is unlike any other team. The scrutiny is relentless, the expectations sky high. Every mistake, every decision, every race weekend will be dissected in microscopic detail. The Italian press is famously ruthless, and the tifosi, while fiercely loyal, demand nothing short of perfection. Even the greatest have struggled to meet these expectations. Sebastian Vettel, a four-time world champion, arrived at Ferrari with dreams of emulating Schumacher but left without delivering the elusive title. Fernando Alonso, widely regarded as one of the most talented drivers of his generation, came agonizingly close but ultimately fell short. Subscribe only if you want Hamilton to win his 8th world championship and be crowned as the greatest driver in history. Can Hamilton succeed where others have failed? Can he break the cycle and bring Ferrari back to the top? These are the questions that will define the coming seasons. But if there is one driver who thrives under pressure, who relishes the challenge of defying expectations, it is Lewis Hamilton. He has built his career on proving doubters wrong, on rewriting narratives, on shattering preconceived limits. What this means for Mercedes and Formula One. Hamilton's departure from Mercedes is not just a blow to the team, it is a cataclysmic shift that will force Brackley to completely rethink its future. Mercedes has built its success around Hamilton. He has been their cornerstone, their guiding force, their trump card in the toughest of battles. Losing him is more than just losing a driver. It is losing the very identity of the team as it has been known for the past decade. Who steps up now? George Russell, undoubtedly talented, now finds himself in a position where he must lead the team forward. But can he? Can Mercedes recover from the loss of their greatest asset, or is this the beginning of a slow decline? Meanwhile, the rest of the grid watches in anticipation. What does this mean for Red Bull? For McLaren? For Aston Martin? Every team will be affected by this shift in some way. The entire balance of power in Formula One has been altered, and the ripple effects will be felt for years. Subscribe only if you want Hamilton to win his 8th world championship and be crowned as the greatest driver in history. The road to immortality. As Hamilton prepares for his first race in Ferrari colors, one thing is clear: this is more than just another chapter in his career. This is the defining moment, the grand finale, the chance to ascend into the realm of the untouchable legends. To win with Ferrari is to become immortal. To bring the Scuderia back to glory is to carve his name into the most sacred halls of motorsport history. The stakes have never been higher. The challenge has never been greater. But if there is one driver who can rise to the occasion, who can embrace the weight of expectation and turn it into fuel, it is Lewis Hamilton. And so, the world watches. The engines roar. The countdown begins. The greatest story in modern Formula One has just begun. The sound was unlike anything heard in Maranello for years. It wasn't just the mechanical symphony of an engine coming to life. It was an unshackled roar, a defiant battle cry, a proclamation that Ferrari had awoken from its slumber. The SF-25 did not merely start, it exploded into existence, sending shockwaves through the very fabric of Ferrari's legacy. The raw, untamed snarl of its power unit tore through the silence like a storm ripping through a sleeping valley, shaking the walls of the factory, reverberating down the halls where legends were forged, and sending chills down the spines of every engineer, every strategist, every soul who had dedicated themselves to a single purpose: restoring Ferrari's place at the pinnacle of Formula One. It was not just a noise, it was an omen, a harbinger of something greater, something long overdue. The echoes of that monstrous growl did not fade into the night. They lingered, filling the air with an almost mythical energy, as if the very ghosts of Ferrari's past had been summoned to witness what could be the rebirth of an empire. Somewhere in the depths of history, the spirit of Enzo Ferrari himself might have stirred, his presence woven into the very DNA of the machine that now stood before them. It was as if the echoes of 1,000 championship victories, the cries of triumph, the roars of tifosi, had been condensed into this one singular moment, a moment where past and future collided. For over a decade, Ferrari has walked the fine line between glory and agony, a team cursed by its own heritage, imprisoned by the weight of expectations that no other team in motorsport has ever had to bear. There is no place to hide when you are Ferrari. There is no such thing as a quiet failure, no possibility of blending into the midfield and rebuilding in the shadows. Every misstep, every strategic blunder, every missed opportunity is magnified under the unforgiving gaze of the world. The tifosi do not forget. They do not forgive. They live and breathe for the red cars, for the prancing horse, for the dream that one day, the Scarlet Machines will once again stand atop the podium, not as underdogs, not as challengers, but as undisputed champions. They have tasted heartbreak more times than they can count. They remember 2017 and 2018 not as mere seasons but as wounds, open, festering reminders of what could have been. Those were the years when Ferrari had the weapons, when Sebastian Vettel carried the hopes of millions, when the path to the championship was there, clear as day, only to crumble beneath their own mistakes. The painful miscalculations, the strategy errors, the unforced driver errors, it all compounded into a cruel reality. Even when Ferrari had the car, they did not have the execution. And then came the barren years, the long, unforgiving winters where Mercedes reigned supreme, where Red Bull sharpened their knives, where Ferrari, mighty, glorious Ferrari, was reduced to a team grasping at fleeting moments of relevance. It was not supposed to be this way. Ferrari was not meant to be a team that celebrated pole positions as if they were championships, that clung to sporadic race wins as proof of progress. This was a team that once dominated with an iron fist, that once crushed the competition with such force that entire seasons were foregone conclusions before the first race even began. Schumacher's Ferrari, Tote's Ferrari, Braun's Ferrari, that was the gold standard. That was what the Tifosi longed for, what the world expected, what every single person wearing the iconic red uniform dreamed of restoring. But dreams are not reality, and for far too long, Ferrari has lived in a world where hope is extinguished as quickly as it ignites. Then, something shifted. Slowly at first, then all at once. The pieces started coming together: Leclerc's raw speed, Sainz's resilience, the quiet but decisive restructuring behind the scenes, the painful lessons learned from years of self-inflicted wounds. The SF23 and SF24 were not championship-winning machines, but they were stepping stones. They were proof that Ferrari was no longer drowning in its own chaos, that the foundations of something greater were being laid. The mistakes did not vanish overnight, but the intent was clear. Ferrari was no longer looking backward. They were no longer trying to recreate the past. They were building something new. And then came the SF25. Its roar was more than just the sound of an engine. It was a declaration, a statement, a warning. It carried with it the echoes of every heartbreak, every defeat, every bitter near-miss, but it did not dwell on them. This was not a machine haunted by the past. It was a machine designed to carve a new future. The engineers who stood around it, the mechanics who had poured their sweat into its creation, the strategists who had studied every possible way Ferrari could fail and vowed to never let it happen again, they all felt it. This was different. This was not just another Ferrari challenger. This was a weapon. And Ferrari was done being cautious. This was not a car built to contend. It was built to win. The numbers whispered of potential, the wind tunnel results hinted at something extraordinary. The early simulations suggested that this was not just another step forward, it was a leap. The SF25 was leaner, meaner, more aggressive in its philosophy. Every inch of its bodywork screamed efficiency, every aerodynamic detail suggested a newfound ruthlessness. The power unit had been refined, pushed to the edge of what was legal, extracting every ounce of performance possible. The team had spent years fine-tuning their strategy department, ensuring that the ghosts of their past blunders would not return to haunt them. And above all, there was belief. For the first time in years, Ferrari did not hope to be competitive, they knew they could be. The confidence was not blind optimism, it was built upon the sweat and sacrifice of countless hours spent in relentless pursuit of perfection. The SF25 was not a car built to be remembered as another almost. It was not another chapter in the book of missed opportunities. It was the prologue to a new era. Maranello had felt this before. There had been false dawns, seasons where the initial promise faded into bitter disappointment. But something about this felt different. It was not just the machine, it was the mindset. Ferrari was done waiting for a miracle. They were done watching from the sidelines as Red Bull's empire solidified, as Mercedes regrouped, as McLaren and Aston Martin grew stronger. They were no longer reacting to the competition, they were setting the pace. As the echoes of that first ignition faded, the silence that followed was not the silence of uncertainty. It was the silence before the storm. And when that storm arrives, Formula One will not be ready. Because Ferrari is not coming back. Ferrari is coming for everything. Now, the air in Formula One is electric, thick with an almost tangible sense of history shifting before our eyes. This isn't just another driver change. This isn't another routine reshuffling of the grid. This is something entirely different, something deeper, something seismic. The tectonic plates of the sport are shifting, and the epicenter is Maranello. Ferrari, the most legendary, revered, and scrutinized team in all of motorsport, is making the biggest, most audacious gamble in modern Formula One history. They are placing their fate, their legacy, their very essence in the hands of a man who, for the past 17 years, has been their executioner, their tormentor, their most ruthless and unrelenting nemesis. Lewis Hamilton, the very name sends waves of emotion through the Ferrari faithful. He is the man who, as a mere 23-year-old, ripped the title from their grasp in 2008, snatching it away from Felipe Massa in the final corner of the final lap of the final race in what remains the most agonizing heartbreak in Ferrari's modern history. He is the man who then went on to become the spearhead of the Mercedes empire, the dynasty that would go on to crush Ferrari's ambitions year after year after year. He stood on the top step of the podium time and again, clad in silver and black, watching the Scuderia suffer below him, powerless against the onslaught of his brilliance. He didn't just beat them, he obliterated them. He was the architect of their pain, the executioner of their dreams, the ruler of an era that left Ferrari with nothing but regret and frustration. And yet now, in a twist of fate so dramatic it almost defies belief, he is theirs. Their weapon. Their champion. Their chosen one. Ferrari is not simply signing a driver. They are forging an alliance with the very man who has haunted them for nearly 2 decades. They are entrusting their destiny to the man who has spent his entire career keeping them from glory. It is the ultimate paradox, the ultimate redemption arc, the ultimate test of fate. But let's be clear, this is not a farewell tour. This is not a retirement contract wrapped in the romanticism of Ferrari red. This is not a final, leisurely lap around the paddock before calling it a day. No. This is a mission. A war. A battle against time, against history, against the weight of expectation, against the very DNA of Ferrari itself. Because 7 titles? 7 titles are legendary. 7 titles put you among the greats. But 8? 8 makes you untouchable. 8 makes you immortal. 8 means there is no longer a debate. 8 etches your name in stone as the greatest to ever do it, the absolute peak of the sport, the definitive GOAT. And Hamilton knows it. He feels it. He breathes it. This is not about money. This is not about comfort. This is about destiny. Yet, for all of Hamilton's greatness, for all his undeniable talent, for all the magic he can conjure behind the wheel of a Formula One car, he is stepping into a world unlike anything he has ever experienced before. Ferrari is not Mercedes. It is not the cold, methodical, clinical German efficiency that powered him to title after title. It is not the precision-engineered, borderline robotic machine that left no stone unturned, no variable uncontrolled. Ferrari is chaos. It is fire and passion, triumph and heartbreak, euphoria and devastation. It is an entity that breathes history, that is as much a religion as it is a race team. This is the team that has chewed up and spat out legends. It is the team that has left icons broken, battered, defeated. Fernando Alonso gave it everything, fought with all his might, bled Ferrari red, but in the end, he left empty-handed. Sebastian Vettel, the man once anointed as Schumacher's successor, tried to bring the glory days back, only to crumble under the relentless pressure, his final seasons marred by spins, mistakes, and regret. Even Michael Schumacher, the only man who truly conquered Ferrari, did so by bending it to his will, by reshaping it in his own image, by demanding a level of excellence and control that only he could enforce. He built Ferrari into a dynasty through sheer force of will, through an iron grip on every aspect of the team. He didn't just drive for Ferrari, he became Ferrari. And now, Hamilton must attempt the same. But can he? Can he tame the beast? Can he succeed where Alonso failed? Can he avoid Vettel's fate? Can he impose his vision upon a team that has, for years, been plagued by inconsistency, by internal power struggles, by a fundamental inability to execute when it matters most? And what of Charles Leclerc? The prodigious talent, the Monegasque prince who has carried Ferrari on his shoulders through its darkest days. What happens when he is forced to share his kingdom with a 7-time world champion? Does he rise to the occasion, elevate himself to another level, prove that he is every bit the equal of Hamilton? Or does he crumble under the weight of it all, becoming yet another promising talent swallowed by the unrelenting demands of Maranello? These are the questions that will define the next era of Formula One. This is the moment that will shape the future of the sport. This is the most significant driver move in modern history, a collision of legacies, a clash of titans, a battle of philosophies. This is Ferrari throwing everything they have, everything they are, into one final desperate push for glory. And for Hamilton, this is the last great chapter of his story. The ultimate challenge. The final mountain to climb. He has won races in every era of Formula One. He has conquered every challenge put before him. He has rewritten records, defied odds, silenced doubters. But this is different. This is his last shot at immortality. This is his final stand. 7 is legendary. But 8? 8 is forever. And the road to it runs through the heart of Maranello, through the chaos and the pressure and the madness that is Ferrari. The most ambitious gamble in Formula One history has begun. And the world is watching. Before Lewis Hamilton can even dream of toppling Max Verstappen from his throne, before he can imagine the roar of the Tifosi in Monza celebrating his victory in Ferrari red, before he can picture himself standing atop the Monte Carlo podium in the most prestigious of victories, he must first navigate the battlefield within his own garage. Because Ferrari, as glorious and legendary as it is not a team for the faint-hearted. It is a political minefield, a pressure cooker of expectations, an empire built on passion and chaos. And within this empire, a war is already brewing, a war not fought with overt aggression, but with psychological maneuvering, silent power plays, and the inevitable clash of titanic egos. At the heart of this impending storm stands Charles Leclerc, the golden boy, the chosen one, the man Ferrari has spent years grooming to be their future world champion. Since his arrival in 2019, he has endured the agony of near misses, the heartbreak of strategic blunders, and the relentless pressure of leading the most iconic team in Formula One. He has been Ferrari's constant through the turbulence, through rule changes, through engine scandals, through car concept failures. He has carried their hopes, their dreams, their unbearable burden of expectation. And now, just when it seemed like his patience and suffering were about to be rewarded, just when the rumors suggest Ferrari might finally be delivering a competitive car, they bring in a 7-time world champion, a man who is not merely a racing driver but a global icon, a force of nature who has no interest in being a supporting actor. Hamilton does not come to a team to be a co-leader. He comes to be the leader. He does not join a project to contribute, he joins to define it. He is not here to defer, to compromise, to accept equal footing. He is here to win, and win on his terms. And that, more than anything else, is what makes this partnership at Ferrari so explosive. Because for all of Ferrari's reassurances that their drivers will be treated as equals, history has shown that internal battles at Maranello never remain civil for long. The scars of past power struggles still linger: Alonso versus Massa, Vettel versus Leclerc, Schumacher versus Barrichello. Every time two dominant personalities have shared the Scuderia's garage, the result has been friction, division, and eventually implosion. And this? This might be the most volatile combination of them all. The shadow of greatness. For Leclerc, this is a fight not just for race wins, but for his very identity within Ferrari. For years, he has been the team's nucleus, the man around whom their long-term vision revolved. His relationship with the engineers, the mechanics, the strategists, everything has been built around him. Every telemetry readout, every data analysis, every late-night debrief has been centered on making him a world champion. But now, he must share his kingdom with a driver whose very presence alters the dynamics of the team. Hamilton is not just any new teammate. He is one of the greatest drivers in history. He commands a level of respect, influence, and attention that is almost unparalleled. When he walks into a room, he does not demand authority. It is simply granted. His entourage, his brand, his legacy, they all carry weight. Ferrari, a team that has often been accused of struggling with internal politics, now finds itself in the unenviable position of trying to balance two alpha personalities, two distinct leadership styles, two contrasting ideologies of racing. Leclerc, young and fiery, has built his career on raw speed, aggressive overtakes, and an emotional connection with Ferrari's fanbase. Hamilton, a veteran, has honed his craft through calculated brilliance, psychological warfare, and an uncanny ability to extract performance even when everything seems stacked against him. Their battle will not just be fought on the track, it will be fought in the boardrooms of Maranello, in the whispers of team meetings, in the shifting alliances within the garage. The political game begins. The political chess match has already begun. Leclerc, once the undisputed star of Ferrari's marketing, now finds his face sharing equal space with Hamilton in promotional material. His fan favorite number 16 now sits alongside the legendary 44. The mechanics who have been his trusted allies for years must now divide their loyalties. Even his race engineer, the voice in his ear, might find himself caught in the crossfire of divided priorities. For Ferrari, the challenge of managing these two behemoths goes beyond strategy calls and car development. It is about navigating the minefield of egos. Because no matter how much they insist that both drivers will be treated equally, history tells us that equality in Formula One is an illusion. The moment one driver gains an upper hand, whether through sheer pace, political maneuvering, or internal favoritism, the balance will shift irreversibly. And once that shift happens, the cracks will become fault lines. Leclerc is no stranger to internal power struggles. He has seen them firsthand. He witnessed Sebastian Vettel's gradual decline within the team, how a four-time world champion went from being Ferrari's prized asset to an expendable liability when the tide turned in Leclerc's favor. Now, he must fight to avoid the same fate. Because Hamilton is not Vettel. Hamilton is a different beast altogether, a man who has built dynasties, who has survived and thrived in the most cutthroat environments, who has taken on some of the fiercest rivals in the history of the sport and emerged victorious. When the helmets go on. But for all the politics, all the mind games, all the maneuvering behind the scenes, the real battle will be fought where it matters most, on the track. And make no mistake, neither of these drivers will yield. When the lights go out in Bahrain for the season opener, there will be no quarter given. The first qualifying session will be a statement of intent. The first corner of the first race will set the tone. The first wheel-to-wheel battle between them will be seismic. Leclerc knows that if he lets Hamilton establish himself early, if he allows even a whisper of a narrative that he is the second-best driver at Ferrari, he will spend the rest of the season fighting uphill. He must strike first. He must be relentless. He must remind Ferrari, the media, and the world that he is the future, not just an afterthought in Hamilton's quest for an 8th title. Hamilton, meanwhile, knows that time is not on his side. At 39, every race, every season, every decision carries more weight. He did not leave the security of Mercedes, a team he built from the ground up, just to play second fiddle. He came to Ferrari to do what legends do, to etch his name into the sport's history in a way that will never be forgotten. And if that means breaking Leclerc in the process, so be it. The unavoidable collision. The question is not if they will clash, it is when. Because two forces of this magnitude cannot coexist peacefully in a sport where milliseconds separate glory from defeat. There will be a moment, a qualifying session where one blocks the other, a race where a strategy favors one over the other, a championship fight where team orders are issued. And when that moment comes, the illusion of harmony will shatter. Will Ferrari be able to keep the ship steady, or will they be forced to pick a side? Will Leclerc rise to the occasion and establish himself as the true heir to Ferrari's throne? Or will Hamilton, in the final act of his legendary career, prove once and for all that he is inevitable? One thing is certain, this season will not just be about winning races. It will be about survival, about legacy, about power. And for Leclerc and Hamilton, there is no middle ground, only victory or devastation. If Ferrari fails to deliver a car capable of matching the weight of expectation, all of the excitement, all of the anticipation, and all of the seismic energy generated by Hamilton's move to Maranello will evaporate into nothingness. That is the harsh reality of Formula One. Talent alone is not enough. Reputation does not win titles. Passion cannot bridge the gap between promise and execution. The only thing that matters is performance. Raw, relentless, undisputed performance. And that is the ultimate question hanging over the Scuderia like a sword suspended by a single thread. Is the SF25 the machine that will finally rewrite history, break the cycle of heartbreak, and restore Ferrari to its rightful place at the top of the Formula One hierarchy? On the surface, Ferrari has pulled out all the stops. The SF25 is not just another iteration of last year's car, it is a meticulously engineered weapon designed for one purpose: to destroy the opposition. Every inch of this car has been reimagined, refined, and optimized in a way that suggests a deep internal understanding of their past failures. The aerodynamics have undergone a complete overhaul, with Ferrari's engineering department taking inspiration from the best ideas on the grid while injecting their own unique DNA into the concept. The result? A machine that, at least in simulation, promises a level of balance, efficiency, and raw pace that Ferrari has not seen in years. The reworked front-wing concept is a major talking point, designed not only to enhance turn-in precision, but also to work in harmony with the floor's intricate airflow structures. The underfloor geometry is rumored to be among the most advanced in the sport, with a vortex generation system aimed at maximizing ground effect downforce while maintaining minimal drag. This is where Ferrari hopes to strike the perfect equilibrium, ensuring they have both the straight-line efficiency to fight Red Bull on power circuits and the cornering prowess to challenge them on high downforce tracks like Monaco, Suzuka, and Singapore. But aerodynamics alone do not define a championship contender. Ferrari's Achilles heel in recent seasons has been a combination of power unit inconsistency, reliability woes, and strategic blunders. Addressing these flaws has been the highest priority behind the scenes at Maranello. The new power unit, if the rumors are to be believed, represents a quantum leap forward in hybrid efficiency. Internal sources suggest that Ferrari has unlocked a new level of energy recovery optimization, allowing for better deployment across a race stint while maintaining peak performance. There is even speculation that their turbocharger design has been modified to reduce thermal degradation, a factor that has plagued them in high-temperature races. But none of this means anything if Ferrari cannot execute when it matters most. The biggest question mark hovering over the Scuderia is not just the machinery, but the culture, the decision-making, and the ability to perform under relentless pressure. Over the years, Ferrari's biggest enemy has not been Mercedes, Red Bull, or even FIA regulations. It has been themselves. Time and time again, we have seen them falter in crucial moments, throwing away victories through baffling strategy calls, questionable pit-stop execution, and an inability to adapt on the fly. Can they finally shake off this legacy of self-sabotage? Can they be as ruthless, as methodical, as unshakable as the team they are trying to dethrone? Because make no mistake, the challenge ahead is monumental. Ferrari is not just trying to win races, they are trying to dismantle a dynasty. A dynasty that has taken Formula One and made it their personal playground. A dynasty that revolves around two individuals who, in their own ways, have redefined the sport, Max Verstappen and Adrian Newey. Verstappen is the immovable force at the center of Red Bull's dominance. A driver whose talent is so unrelenting, so unwavering, that he seems impervious to pressure. He has turned winning into an expectation rather than an aspiration. And behind him in the shadows, orchestrating the masterpiece, is Adrian Newey, the genius whose understanding of aerodynamics transcends conventional wisdom. Together, they have built a machine that is more than just fast. It is bulletproof, predictable, and surgically precise. They do not just win, they obliterate. Ferrari is stepping into the lion's den. To win, they cannot simply be better, they have to be flawless. Every decision, every strategy, every pit stop must be executed with precision. And even then, there is no guarantee it will be enough. For Hamilton, this is the moment that will define his legacy. The move to Ferrari was not just about one last challenge, it was about immortality. Winning with Ferrari is not the same as winning anywhere else. It carries a weight that no other team can offer. If he can take this team, after nearly 2 decades of failure, and bring them back to the top, it will be an achievement that transcends anything he has done before. It will silence every critic, erase every doubt, and elevate him beyond the realm of statistics. But the road ahead is perilous. He is stepping into a team that has, for years, been plagued by internal chaos, inconsistent execution, and a culture that has historically struggled to handle pressure. Can he be the catalyst that turns Ferrari into the unstoppable force they need to be? And then there is Charles Leclerc, the man who has carried the burden of Ferrari's shortcomings on his shoulders for years. A driver who has the raw speed to fight at the front, but who has been let down time and time again by circumstances outside his control. Now, with Hamilton arriving as his teammate, his defining moment has arrived. Will he rise to the occasion and prove that he is Ferrari's undisputed leader? Or will he find himself overshadowed, forced into a supporting role as Hamilton pursues his ultimate goal? The 2025 season is not just about a championship. It is about the rewriting of history. It is about power shifting, about legends being made, about rivalries that will define the next era of Formula One. It is a war that will unfold in every race, in every qualifying session, in every split-second decision made on the pit wall. This is not just another season. This is a moment in time that will be remembered forever. And the world is watching.